What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and JSU, and you guys know what that means. We are going to give you the picks. We are going to give you the winners, but we might make a little detour along the way and start talking about things. So, first of all, let's start off. JSU, how you doing today?
Doing very good. Another day, another nice slate of NBA. Love talking some hoops with you boys and giving out some winners as well. I mean, I was on this show, I think it was last Friday, and we
Yep.
definitely gave out some winners. I think my favorite play was the Heat. That was an easy winner. I know that. And then we gave out that Spurs to win plus the booster of either Jakob Poeltl double-double or DeJounte Murray triple-double as a booster on FanDuel. I know that hit either way.
Yeah.
So hopefully some people made some money off that because we've been giving out winners on this show spread. I know you want to talk about why you're tilted over one game in the regular season of Miami. So please, the floor is yours
All
for you
right.
to rip apart the Miami Heat because you wanted them money line instead of just taking the points. Go for it, spread. The floor is yours.
All right, Tyler, before we start, first of all, Tyler, how are we doing today?
I'm good. Coming off that nice parlay win in the Discord last night, 22-1. So that's nice to see. And then the sheet play split last night too. But we got a ton of games tonight. Looks like we'll have a better night. Hopefully we get more winners on the spreadsheet.
All right, Tyler, I'm going to put you on the spot here. How many seconds into this monologue do you think I will get before JSU interrupts me because my take is so bad? Set an over-under for the chat right now.
19 and a half seconds.
All right, let's talk about the Miami Heat game last night. Up by what, 14 with less than 7 minutes to go. Up by 4 points with 13 seconds to go. Yet they don't get the win. I started thinking to myself, is Jimmy Butler a bully? Does he put up huge stats against the Charlotte Hornets, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Sacramento Kings, the New York Knicks, but then wilt when he's faced with the athleticism and the greatness of Giannis Antetokounmpo and all these great players? Let's take out the bubble and look at what Jimmy's done in the playoffs. How far has he got? On Chicago, did they ever win a first-round series? I don't know. Hey, he made it to the playoffs with Minnesota. Hey, he got the Thibodeau bump, right? But let's take out the bubble. How good has Miami really done with Jimmy Butler? And JSU, I don't have that much more, so you can jump in. I didn't even think I would make it this far. But no, hey, you got to be upset about that performance last night, right? He didn't score in the last 36 minutes, and it just felt like he couldn't get his own shot. If he's not getting that foul call, it's really hard for him to generate looks in the half-court set when the game's on the line. And why is Tyler Hero bringing the ball up? So you win. You did a good job. I did not think you were going to make it that far. But go ahead. Calm me down about this Heat loss because I'll tell you what, and I should have just taken the points and I'd be happy. But as a money line backer who with 7 minutes to go, I'm just sitting there counting my units. Okay, a plus 150 here. You know, I got a great plus 150 tennis that I bet you I'm going to cash today, right? I was thinking that Thunder was a great pick. You know, I'm feeling pretty good at myself. What were your thoughts on the Miami Heat blowing that game?
Well, first, the Thunder was a great pick. You guys have the
Yeah.
Thunder because I said it on the show. They're just one of those teams. They just always hang around, and the Nuggets never close anyone out. Like they're the woe when it comes to just finishing off teams. Like they just never do it. So I did love that pick last night. I know I said something along those lines of that on the Up to Lock show about the Thunder, how they're like just that annoying like little brother who just hangs on to your like shirt as you're walking around and he's hanging behind you. Like I can remember like following my older brother as a young child, and he's like 10 years older than me, but I wanted to be like exactly like him, so I follow him around, try and like do whatever he did on the basketball court, like everything. I just wanted to be like my brother, so I was like, that's the Thunder right there. They're like that little brother who you just want to like just shove away, and they just won't go away. They're nagging. But back to your Heat point, Jimmy Butler, you can't be mad at one bad performance in one of the harder matchups that Jimmy Butler has to play. Like this is, for him, probably, it's got to be one of the harder ones because of the length. Giannis, obviously, that Milwaukee has. And for Jimmy's game, you said it, it's very much predicated on him getting fouls. It is. It's 100% that way. He likes to bully guys, backing them down. If you notice, he plays a ton with his back to the basket. He likes to catch the ball. He likes to sometimes he'll turn and face, but a lot of times he likes to put that shoulder right into them, back them down a few times, and then try and get, like an and one little bunny jumper or layup if he can, or he gets fouled. And when they don't back down easy, that's when Jimmy Butler struggles, no doubt in my mind. But at the same time, we can't it's a regular season game. We're not going off of one bad performance for Jimmy Butler because he had one bad game against the Bucks, who, mind you, won the championship last year. No scrub team we're talking about, right? We're talking about one of the better teams in the entire NBA. So let's not get too crazy here. I know you didn't win your bet, so you're a little upset. So I understand that part. I get it. And you want to roast somebody, and Jimmy Butler, I mean, listen, what do you have, 6 points last night or whatever it was?
It was like 6-4 and 2 or something.
Yeah, it was not a good performance. I'm not saying that by any means, but the dude shot 2 for 14, did not get to the free throw line either. Only 2 free throw attempts, which is not like Jimmy Butler. I mean, that's definitely not normal in a close game, right, Spread? Like, if I told you close game, Jimmy Butler plays 35 or more minutes, you're like, oh, yeah, dude probably got to the free throw line at least 3 or 4 different times. You know what I mean? Like, at least got like 6 to 8 free throw attempts, and he didn't. And probably one of the reasons why he couldn't get himself going from the field. And that's where they're going to struggle. If Jimmy Butler can't get those fouls, they'll definitely struggle at times. But at the same time, the Heat are going to be a tough out for anyone. They played Milwaukee. They play Milwaukee tough. I can tell you right now, that's one team the Bucks don't want to see in the series. Like, if they could just pick any one of these top other 5 teams out of the 6, right? Because we're taking them out, obviously. So the next 5 teams, if they could just pick 4 of them and say, like, or 3 of them and say, like, we had to play these 3 or whatever, Miami would definitely not be one of the teams they'd pick. No way they would want Miami. Like, that's the team they want someone else to have to beat. They don't want to go through Miami because that's going to be a very tough task for them this year.
Okay, so I know you say it's just a regular season game, right? But I still think that there's certain predictive things we can take away from it. And this is fun, and it's for content having the show, right? And I me doing this for so long that even though like I might get mad, I'm not going to let it affect my handicapping going forward. But I still do think that, these type of matchups, especially where I feel like both teams were putting their all out there, both teams wanted the win as a statement, right? There is some predictive value in it, but I think there's 2 ways to approach it, right? So we look at it, right? Butler, like you said, right, goes 2 of 14 from the line. Giannis went 2 of 14 from the field. Giannis went 9 of 11 from the line, right? Give him credit, but do we expect that in every single game? And it's a 1-point game. So do I look and I say, boy, on the court, it really felt like, when I was watching that last 6 minutes of the game, the Bucks raised their level and they had that higher level of defense, and that the Heat could not create quality shots in the half court. I mean, even one of their best shots in the last 6 minutes, I think, was it Strus or Vincent? I can't remember. But I mean, the guy was like 3 feet behind the 3-point line with a hand in his face, and he nailed a 3. Like, it was not a good shot, but it was a good make, right? But it wasn't a quality look. So do we look and we say, boy, when the Bucks elevate their level, they can really shut down the Heat in the half court if they were to play in the playoffs? Or do we say, boy, Giannis goes 9-11 from the line, Butler's 2-14 from the field, and it's a 1-point game? Which way would you be looking at that now if, like, say they did meet in the second round and we were going to use this game to try and help us handicap that game?
I mean, if you use this game, you have to look at what Jimmy did and say, like, come on, like, is he really going to go 2 for 14? Is he really only going to get 2 free throw attempts in this game? Like, come on. Now, the Giannis thing going 9 from 11 from the free throw line, honestly, he's been pretty good just overall this season. So, like, even like that's fine. Like, okay, he shoots, and maybe he doesn't go 9 for 11, maybe go 7 for 11 or 8 for 11.
Mm-hmm.
That's still good enough for
but
Giannis.
7 for 11 in a 1-point game. I'm cashing my money line ticket and we're high-fiving because
I'm just saying, though, in general, like,
right.
From his free throw, from how bad he was a year and a half ago to how much better he's gotten at the free throw line. I'm just saying, like, even if he did shoot 9 for 11, I have to just think that Jimmy Butler is not going to consistently go 2 for 14 in this matchup. If this game played 10 times, how many times does he get 6 points?
Right.
I tell you right now, if they played again today, he'd probably play.
Okay. Tyler, what are you taking away from this? So let's say, because I think there's a pretty good chance these teams meet, right? I think there's a pretty good chance that this will be a playoff series. When that playoff series does happen, which is speculative, but like I said, I think there's a pretty good chance. How would you use this game to help handicap that series, if at all?
I mean, I guess you could factor in a little bit. The worry is like the Heat are going to adjust with Spoelstra at coaching. Like he's going to throw different adjustments at him. He probably has a whole different scheme come playoff time to play the Bucks. And just like JSU said, you can't count on Jimmy Butler shooting that bad every game and Giannis shooting that well. So, I mean, I don't take much from it. It's a regular season game. But I think this will be the Eastern Conference Finals matchup. So I could agree there.
I mean, you see what I'm saying? It's got a good chance, or it could happen in the second round. But I don't think either of these teams release it in the first round. So, right, pretty good chance of it happening.
Jay Reed has a good point. Maybe Jimmy needs another visit from Rachel Nichols.
Maybe I do too, and I would have taken the points. So, Rachel,
maybe Jimmy was just thinking about a visit from Rachel Nichols, and he couldn't get it out of his head. Who knows? He might have been distracted, Jay Reed. You never know.
And because we get to do this on this episode on Thursdays, let's talk about Spoelstra for a second and that play call at the end that could or couldn't have been a foul. So, watching, biased, I have money on the Heat. Originally, I'm like, that's a foul, throwing stuff in my room. And I don't react very often, right? So maybe it's just built up from a frustrating week, right? When I watched the replay, man, it was really hard for me to, go to Twitter and say that the Heat got robbed. So tell me whether or not you think that's a foul. And if you do it, it's fine. I'm not really, hung up on that point. I think it could have gone either way. But what did you think of the play call? I didn't necessarily like it because when they ran everyone over, it was like, why wouldn't Giannis go cheat over this way? Did you think it was a good inbound play from Spo? I was actually kind of surprised. I was thinking if it's the other way around and Budenholzer had run that play, we would have taken to Twitter to just roast him. What did you think, JSU?
Felt like Giannis kind of identified it quick too, right? He was just like, I'm just going to cheat over here. And I didn't love it. Now, for me personally, I don't know, spread. I've been in situations where at the end of the game, you see a foul get called to pretty much determine the game, and you're like, oh, that's a foul, 100%.
Yeah.
And they hold that whistle back, right? I don't know. I didn't feel that way. You felt that way though. You felt in the moment.
When I first saw it, I thought for sure it was a foul, and I was pissed. Then when I watched the replay and I was looking for the contact, so I can go to Twitter and complain about how the Heat got robbed. Yeah. I didn't really see it that much in the slow motion from the behind the basket angle.
I felt like at the end of the game when there's even a question whether it's a foul, you hold that whistle back. I
agree with that too. Yeah, so that's why I wasn't that mad. But I'll tell you what, when I first watched, I thought it was pretty bad. It looked like Jimmy maybe tried to accentuate it.
Again, Tyler, if I had money on the Heat, I might be saying a different tune right now. So I don't, you know what I mean? I get the bias here.
Especially at full speed, right? At full speed.
No doubt. People in this chat probably had money in the Heat. Every single one of them was like, that was a foul, 100%. Shut up, JSU. And I'm just like, I didn't have money on the Heat. So, I can just think, objectively. But that's how I feel about fouls at the end of the game. Unless 100%, that's just a foul. You can't let them get away with that. Hold the whistle and just do it all the time.
And that's going to be something that Butler's going to have to contend with, right? Him, Harden, Embiid. These are three guys that really get a lot of fouls during the regular season.
Remember, though, Jimmy's really good at finishing through contact.
Yes, he is. He's better at, I'd say, Harden in that.
That's
regard.
One thing that he is very good at. He welcomes contact, right? So he's very good at finishing through it. He embraces contact.
Tyler, what do you think of Spoelstra's play call at the end? Am I nitpicking here, or did you think it was well
To
done?
be completely honest with you, I didn't see the play because I didn't watch the game, so I don't have much talk on it.
So you just got all the DMs from me getting pissed off, and okay.
Yeah, I got the Athletic notifications that they lost by 1. I was like, how the hell did that happen? And then I went back and looked at the play-by-play. I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it
I
was
didn't get to
pretty
watch
bad.
much of the game, though.
I mean, as much as I'm bagging on Jimmy, Tyler Butler's also got to be able to navigate a trap a little better than that, right? I mean, he just threw it like straight to Chris Middleton as well. And then I guess my only thing on Jimmy is like, why don't you have the ball there? Why are you letting Tyler Hero take the ball up the court? But enough on that game. Let's get into tonight because we will be able to
hold on, Jake. But you're saying to me you think it's a foul even if you didn't have money on it, but you're telling me you had money on it, right? Just the way you worded that. So, like, that's my point. We're all biased to obviously what we have money on. Come on, everyone knows that. I'm biased to it too. Like, geez, I had money on a lot of things last night, and trust me, there are a lot of things that happen where I'm like, oh, if this just happened, I would have had a little better shot or whatever. Like, no, it's just the way we all think. I'm telling you right now, you don't look at it as objectively when you have money on it. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to.
No, yeah,
but
no,
I get it. I get it.
It kind of makes it fun too, right? Because I'll tell you what, it felt like more than a regular season game to me. You guys are just, it's just one game, and I'm just throwing stuff. But obviously, if you guys have watched the little rivalry between me and Tyler this week, hasn't been my best week either. So maybe a little built up there. But let's jump into tonight's and find the winners because it wasn't overall a bad day for us yesterday, right? We definitely hit the Thunder, and that was a nice play. And Tyler gave out some winners too. So let's try to do it again. The Chicago Bulls are first up on our docket. They're in Atlanta, taking on the Hawks. +2 is the spread. 231.5 is the total. Tyler, the Hawks have taken a little money. This was -3.5 earlier. Let me see if any news has changed or that's a market move. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a market move. No, yes. I mean, Trae Young's questionable. That would not move it. So it's only Atlanta here on this whole injury report. So market move makes sense. So Atlanta's much better at home. The Bulls pretty good, but we talk about an inability to defend. That's what the Bulls have right now. No Lonzo Ball, no Alex Caruso, no Patrick Williams. Everyone talks about the first two. Williams could be the difference in them really making a run in the playoff to me because he's so versatile and he can even, double as kind of like a rim protector and help Vukovic out if he's able to get healthy, and they can score so much. I don't think it matters that he's kind of a black hole on offense. Regardless, all those players are out. Let's talk about the players that are in. Trae Young's questionable. I expect them to play. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta might be better at home, but they're not a winning team, so I don't see them giving Chicago much troubles tonight. Mm-hmm. Give me Chicago here at the better number spread. I mean, Oneki Okongwu out, John Collins out, leaves like Clint Capella and Georgie Dang the big man minutes down there. So
is Dang playing? Because he was messing around in street clothes last one.
I mean, he might have to play with Okongwu now out. Okay. He might have to dress. Right. If not, they're going to be playing very small. So it's definitely going to lean the Chicago side. The total seems a bit high, but we know Chicago doesn't play much defense, and Atlanta can hang a high number. Mm-hmm. And the other reason why I'm playing Chicago now is if Trae Young sits and they just kind of punt this game, that number is going to jump to like -5.5. So I'm going to take the -1 now, and I think they win the game outright even if he plays. So got to get the number before it moves.
JSU, how are you approaching this one?
Yeah, I mean, spread. First of all, like Trae Young, this line right here. So you think it's accurate? You just.
I think he's going to play. If he, like Tyler said, this would be close to 5 if he was out.
Right.
And it moved towards, Atlanta took money. So if people, saw him at shoot around or whatever, got that information and hit the market, it's moving in the direction that he's playing. So I'm assuming that he's playing.
Did you watch the game in Boston when he had the injury?
Yeah, we were on the live show that night, right, Tyler?
So
it was right after Jalen hurt himself.
Yeah. And so when he hurt himself originally, I was like, oh, that thing's gonna swell up. He's going back to the locker room like that thing's gonna swell up like a son of a gun. Somehow comes back in, plays good the rest of the first half, may I add. Like once he comes back in, like still kind of like is scoring and doing his thing. And then the second half comes and he just looked like he didn't really have any burst. You know what I mean?
Like happens, right? You can move around, but
that's what I mean, though. Like he looked like he just had no burst. Like how Trae Young he'll be dribbling the ball and he'll go from 0 to 100 real quick, and then he'll stop, and he does that all the time. Like it looked like he couldn't do it. It looked like his jump shot was like flat. It looked like he wasn't getting that much like push from his legs. So clearly there was an issue there. You would figure though, after that game playing on it, it would swell up for sure after the game. And so if he's playing, it must not have, swelling must have came down really fast or something like that, or he's just super tough and doesn't want to sit. One or the other. It might be he's just super tough and doesn't want to sit, because I thought he was for sure done when he walked back to the locker room. I was like, there's no way they're letting him come back if he's limping back to the locker room after that, which looked like, it was a bad ankle injury when he fell. It looked like he was in pain. So the fact that he came back 1.5, I mean, to me, though, I think the Bulls are just an easy play. It looks too easy, though. So I get worried when they look this easy, because I just feel like the Bulls are the easy winner. Someone in the chat posted, and actually it was interesting. We the People said it. I love this look. He says, Vooch double-double in the win. Easy. I love that. Vooch has been they played Atlanta 3 times. Vooch has smashed in this matchup. I think almost all 3 times. Like, he's owned this matchup. DeMar DeRozan, I think his prop for points, rebounds, and assists is at like 38.5 in a 1.5 point spread. That dude could get 38 points. Like,
Yeah.
he could get 38 real points. It was like the SGA bet. That was another thing on Friday. I loved SGA's whatever was points, rebounds, and assists, and it was like 35.5. And I said the same thing about his points. I'm like, dude could literally drop 35. Like, I think he did drop like 34 or something like that. But like, these guys that are just like scoring at, how do you not love that prop in a 1.5 point spread? You know what I mean? So I think the Bulls are the play for sure. Again, it does scare me a little because it looks too easy, but I'm going to play the Bulls here. Just get them. And then I love the Vooch double-double plus the win. That probably boosts your odds a little bit on FanDuel, I'm sure. Tyler probably could figure that one out quick. But and DeMar DeRozan points, rebounds, and assists. Over 38.5.
Tyler, look that up real quick, and I got to ask a question from Otter on the over.
The Vooch double-double and win?
Yeah.
A's plus 175.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's nice. You just hit that one.
Otter wants to know, are you playing Capella tonight?
No, I don't. So I definitely don't like Capella if Trey's out. I'll make that one clear right now.
Right.
He's useless if Trey's out. You better pray he gets 20 rebounds, like if Trey's out. So we'll see. If Trey's in.
But with Okongwu out, right, you got to think he's going to absorb at least
the minutes are going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have to be there. That's the one good thing about Capella. I want to wait and see if Trey's in or not. If Trey's in, I definitely like him more. If Trey's out, there's no fucking way I play him. I'll play all the other guys, though. I'll play Gallo. I'll play Bogdan. I'll play Kevin Huerter, DeLon Wright, Hunter. Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, you didn't seem too excited about Hunter.
Well, okay, here's the one problem with Hunter.
Yeah.
He's going to play a lot in this game unless he gets in foul trouble, because they're going to put him on DeMar the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And DeMar just has this knack. He does that little swoop through when he drives to the hoop. He does the little fall away mid-range jumpers where guys always undercut him because he naturally kicks his legs out when he fades. Like, he just naturally kicks his legs out. So it's harder to, like, you want to close off that airspace, and it's hard to do with DeMar because of his natural kick out on his jump shot. And then when he fades, it's even more aggressive. But he's so good at it. Coaches are telling you, like, get up in his face, and then they just are in his space, and he falls down. The shot goes in, and he gets a foul call half the time. So it's like he's just a really tough cover, and I could see DeAndre Hunter getting into foul trouble. But he is cheap on DK.
Yeah, another interesting situation here. Atlanta 29-32 right now in 10th place, right? So they can move up and catch Charlotte. I doubt they're going to catch Brooklyn or Toronto. I'm sure that they think they can. I don't think they can. But Atlanta, I mean, Washington right behind at 28 and 33. I wonder if that motivates Trey to get out there. So that'll be something that we'll definitely be monitoring. And is it true that you're on the free show today, or are you on the final countdown? Because we're probably not going to get this news till
I'm going to be
4
on
o'clock my time.
the premium show with Big T later tonight.
I think that's probably when we'll get the news for sure, right? So,
if
you're not
Trey
a member,
plays in a 1.5, you got to have a little interest in Trey if he plays. I mean, I'm talking about DFS.
I know.
About DFS. Like, if he plays, I think you got to have some interest because, like you said, both don't play any defense. And if he plays, I'm just expecting him to be good to go, right? Like, he's fine. Like, he's just gonna give it a shot. And I think people may be worried about his ankle. Maybe they just, stay away. I think he comes in lower owned. So interesting DFS play.
It's so tough for us to diagnose this from our couches or watching on our TV right in my office, right? Because there's times where guys roll their ankles, and like you said, like Tuesday, I'm like, he's done. We're on the live show. Like, I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, when he went to the locker room, I was like, there's no way he comes. He's coming back in street clothes. You know what I mean? To cheer on his team. Like, he's not
so
coming
many
back.
times it just looks like a guy's done and he's not. Or, a guy's, going to come back for sure, and we don't see him for a week or two. So it's really rough doing that. But the reason I bring up the final countdown is because that's when that news will come in, and I think it's real crucial for your lineups. If you're not a member and you do want to watch JSU and Big T on the final countdown, head on over to runpuresports.com. Use that promo code, get bets. Miami Heat will be in Brooklyn taking on the Nets. I think you already know where I'm going. I mean, is this a spite bet? Probably. Okay, but regardless, they're tired. That was a tough game last night. Like I said, maybe it's because, I really wanted to get that pick home. I had a little more intensity too, right? But it felt like it was a playoff intensity level game. Now you go to Brooklyn. It's the return of Kevin Durant, and I feel like, the whole team's going to be lifted up for him, and I feel like he's going to put on a good performance. I think they've been pretty careful with bringing him back, especially because out of all the teams that doesn't care about seeding, it's the team that can't have one of their star players play at home, right? So they don't even want the number 1 seed unless this stuff gets worked out in New York, which I'm becoming. I thought it last week. Okay, cool. We'll get him back. We'll never talk about this ever again. And now it looks like it's just going to be another, 5 chapters of NBA drama, which I'm not necessarily here for. But I also want to talk about this game for playoff implications, right? So I love Brooklyn tonight, right? But I was also thinking, when I was going through all my Heat hatred this morning, and you were talking about the teams that they match up with, I think, if they were to, beat one of these teams that we consider a top team, I think they match up really well with Brooklyn. And my idea is I don't think Brooklyn can defend them in the half court the way that the Bucks were able to shut them down. The Bucks have a ton of athleticism, a ton of length, and they hit the boards pretty hard, right? Brooklyn, KD's great. Who even knows what Ben Simmons is doing, right? I mean, I thought he'd be playing by now. Now, wait, he's not even going to play till April. So how good is he going to be, right? But, if they're not able to defend in the half court, I think that's the way that you beat the Heat. And if Brooklyn can't do that, I could see them being the ones, getting an upset victory over the Nets. JSU, go ahead and break down tonight and let me know your thoughts if they were to meet in the playoffs.
Yeah, if they meet in the playoffs, I do think this is a harder matchup for sure. If like Kyrie and KD are healthy, I really like the Heat though. I'm a big fan of the Heat, so we'll see. I'm not 100% sure on which way I would go. I would have to see who's in for sure for these teams because we've seen it during the playoffs. Guys go down. You never know what you're going to end up getting with teams. So we'll see who's fully healthy. If they're fully healthy right now, though, I think I would go the Heat. I think I would go the Heat. I'm not a big fan of this Nets team. We talked about Harden. I don't know how anyone ever thought that the biggest winner of that deal wasn't the team who gets the best player. But just remember this. The team who gets the best player in the NBA is the winner of the trade almost always. Like almost every single time. So Seth Curry doesn't move the needle for that trade. I'm sorry. And then a guy who hasn't played all year that wasn't going to play for Philly no matter what. The fact that they moved him for James Harden is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's mind-boggling, actually, that they did that. So, I mean, Daryl Morey deserves a gold star for that performance. However he made that happen, it's amazing. I'm sure James Harden helped it a little bit, but hey, whatever. So this game though specifically, I do feel like the Nets should win this game. Miami, after that really tough game, Jimmy's questionable.
Kyle's out again. So
Kyle's
Lowry's
out
not
again.
coming back. That would have been nice, right? Because he didn't
It
play
does
last
feel
night.
like Jimmy sits too, right? In this spot, it does feel like he's going to sit. Is that what we're all thinking?
I have no idea. So that one's tough. Like, for example, to me, the line is telling me that Trey plays. Same here, right? I mean, it's still 2.5, right? I mean, it's wait, no, it flipped. It flipped. No. I'm sorry. No, now I'm thinking that he sits. It's moved 3 points since I went on a walk about an hour and a half ago to blow off some steam and get away from the NBA for an hour before we started the show. So the line's moved 3 points since then. Yeah, Jimmy might sit there. So in that case, it's definitely Brooklyn. But if he played, would you still like the Nets?
No, I would like the Heat. Yeah,
okay.
Especially at
cool.
1.5.
Let's be opposite here.
I don't really love the Nets right now, but I do think Jimmy sits, so I'm going to lean the Nets here. Not as strong as a take as the Chicago take, but I'll lean the Nets in this spot right now because I do feel like Jimmy does sit with the line movement and what it's telling me right now.
Tyler, what are your thoughts on this one? Nets and Heat. Obviously, I'm pretty upset with the Heat, but I do think that you're right. Kevin Durant coming back should be a big game for him. And boy, this team was actually not really that good last year, even in the playoffs, and he made them look pretty good. I think he is one of those players that just makes everybody better. And if it's a close game, right? I talked about struggles in the half court. KD's the guy I want in the half court. Of course, he might not be 100%, so that could be an issue. Let's see if he's a little rusty. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this injury report, I can't make a play on this game until I know what these guys are going to do. I mean, not just Jimmy Butler. You got PJ Tucker, Caleb Martin, Max Strus all on there questionable. Those are key guys in their rotation. If they're all out, then it really shortens their rotation and takes out their star player. But if Jimmy plays, which I think there's a slight chance he does after a bad performance last night, he comes out and wants to get that bad taste out of his mouth and get a W. So I could see that happening. Now, KD has props listed for him. I don't see a minutes limit for him, but I expect him to be on one. The points prop at 22.5 seems short, though. He's going to walk on the floor and take 15 to 20 shots because there's not really another offensive weapon there outside of Seth Curry. So those two will be their main offensive weapons. But if the news comes in that most of these guys play for Miami, give me Miami at the short number. If they're all out, though, I'm probably just going to stay away. I don't want to back the Nets right now.
Remember, though, Tyler, KD's one of those players where, like, he forces the coach to let him play more minutes sometimes.
Yeah, that is true.
Sometimes that he says, like, if my team needs me, quote unquote, he'll say that like in an interview after, like, I'll play whatever I need to play. If I got to play 44 minutes, I'll play 44 minutes. Like he will push it to the limit if he has to, like minutes wise. And no doubt, I do think he's on some type of monitored minutes. I don't know if they've come out saying like Kevin Durant's going to play 30 minutes or whatever. I don't know if they've done that yet, but my assumption is they have some type of minutes that they don't want him to go over. But if the game's really close and it's like, hey, we can either take KD out in a 1-point game with 5 minutes to go and let him rest for 3 minutes and then bring him back in with 2 minutes and risk losing, this 1-point gap, or we can leave him in there and win this game. KD's probably going to be like, leave me in there. I'll take the extra 3 minutes. It's okay to go over it. Like, so that is one good thing about the props. If they look low, like he is some guy who he will play if the game's tight.
Bart Lockhart wants to know, you like Hero for DFS? And I mean, go through both situations, but let's start with the Jimmy being out situation because seems pretty obvious, but is it almost too obvious? And are you worried that ownership will be too high?
Jimmy being out isn't even the only thing. I mean, you got PJ Tucker, Caleb Martin, Strus. You've got other guys here that are questionable. Now, my assumption is that 1 or 2 guys sit and 1 or 2 guys play. That's just my assumption on what I think. If all of those guys were to be out, though, I mean, the Heat are going to play a tight rotation. Like there's not that many main guys left, so you'd have to like Hero. Now, if a few of those guys do play and it's, let's say, just Jimmy that sits, well then, I think Hero's still a good play. He might not be like an amazing play, but he's still a really good play. I think if all those guys are out, though, Hero's, it's tough not to just lock him in there. Like, especially if the spread doesn't even move, and it stays around what it is. Like, how do you not love Hero against the Nets in a 1.5 to maybe 2.5 point spread? Like, right? Like, wouldn't you love Tyler Hero? Like, I would definitely play him if all those guys are out, no doubt.
And you're not worried about high ownership? Like, I mean, let's say they're all ruled out. What does he come in at? 40%, 60%? Like, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say probably in
Vincent at that point. Like, if
I
you
think
needed
we're
to,
gonna play Gabe Vincent either way.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been getting minutes. He's been playing well. He's still kind of cheap. I bet you he's around like 35-40%. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Tyler, any more thoughts on the Heat and the Nets before we move on?
No, not much from this game until we get injury news.
Well, I can't wait to overreact to the results of this one tomorrow. So look forward to that here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Get subscribed. You'll notify when I get live, and I can completely overreact to that game. The Detroit Pistons catching 9.5 in Toronto, over 218, right? Before, the Raptors were a team that I could really count on night in and night out. You kind of knew what you were going to get. Feels like lately we have no idea, right? They're either smashing teams or they're getting smashed. Even the way that Brooklyn one went, right? Where they smashed Brooklyn on the road and then it's a 1-point win at home. Really tough for me to get a handle on this team right now. Pistons, I feel like I got a pretty good handle on them. This is a team that's trying hard. I think you're definitely going to get an effort. And if I bet on the Pistons and lost the bet, I'm never cursing myself because the team didn't try hard or they weren't giving their 100% effort out there, which happens a lot, in the NBA. But I haven't seen that with the Pistons so far. I love Cade's ability to control the tempo at the end of the game. We talked about finishing through contact, JSU, earlier and talking about Butler. I think Cade's got that same ability. He also knows how to use his body and his size. So if he has a smaller guy on him, he's not necessarily worried about getting by him. He just gets as close as he needs, uses the glass really well. I can see why he was the number one pick, and I would not be surprised if 3 or 4 years from now he was definitely the best player in a loaded draft. I think this is a great draft last season coming up. So, normally we don't like taking the Pistons on the road. The Raptors have been so inconsistent. My early lean here is to take the points. But, Tyler, I think you have a better angle. What you got for this one?
Yeah, I agree with you. Take the points. Detroit's had the Raptors number the last 5 matchups. They beat them 5-0 straight up, and they've covered all 5 of those games.
Is that the Dwayne Casey effect?
And the kicker to that is you look at their last 20 road games outside of that, just this year, they're 4-16 straight up in those road games. So it kind of puts you between a rock and a hard place there. You have one thing you want to look at on your good side and one thing you want to look at on your bad side. I think 9.5 might be a little bit too many. I like We the People's Call and Scotty Barnes 15-plus points in W because you got to think him and Cade are going to go right at each other. They're both rookies. Like, I know they're not the Rookie of the Year candidates, but they're the 2 and 3. So, God forbid Evan Mobley gets hurt. These are going to be the 2 guys fighting for the award. They're going to try and put on a performance tonight. And I see props listed for Fred VanVleet, so he's likely back too. I could see this being like a grit and grind game too. Give me the under here, spread. I don't think they're getting to 220.
Yeah, I definitely like your call on that under. And usually unders correlate to taking the points, but what do you think, JSU?
Yeah, I'm taking the points here. Give me Detroit. I've watched Toronto in their last 4 matchups. I think it's been 4 since the All-Star break. Yeah. And God, they look awful. Take out the performance against Brooklyn 2 games ago because they were great there, and it was, they should have beaten Brooklyn, the team that Brooklyn put out there, by what they did. But then they go to Toronto. Same spot, nothing's changed at home, and they just let the Nets just hang around, and they were lucky to win that game. Let's be honest right here. I watched that whole game. They were very lucky to win that game. The Nets could have easily won that game, and they ended up winning it at the end. But God, they've been bad, and it's no secret or anything like that. But I'm sorry, 9.5 point spread. Give me the 9.5 with Detroit. They could win this game if Toronto plays as bad as they have been playing. It does help though that Fred VanVleet's back, but to me, it's like he's definitely got to be injured, but he's trying to play through an injury that he probably would have to sit out a lot of games to get like fully healed. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's been like questionable for so many games and he's played some and then sat out the last 2 games, like tells you he's probably hurting, but he's trying to push through and play for the team. And like you said, they're kind of they're right in that like playing situation right now, right?
Exactly. And I was just going to mention that as why I think this playing is so cool, right? We weren't sure what to think about it, but now let's look at it, right? Normally, what's the difference between being 6 and 7, right? Before this playing tournament. Well, now these guys want to avoid that tournament. So like you said, Fred VanVleet might be pushing a little harder just to maybe catch Boston, maybe catch Cleveland, right? Yeah. Avoid that playing situation. And, you look at tonight, right? Every single game has somebody at least one team has playoff implications, right? So it's so much easier to handicap. Like last night we had the Magic and the Pacers, but that was it. Every other game had implications here. So I think we're getting better effort and more what we want as fans is these teams going all out and taking this regular season seriously.
Yeah, I guess, before the season, I think more people were like, are these teams going to really try out if they're in this like play-in situation? Are they going to really push to get into it? Mm-hmm. It seems like they are, right? It seems like they are trying to push to get into it. So that is good for this time of the regular season, right? For guys like us who are watching it nightly, it makes for a little more competitive throughout the season, right?
I think even makes navigating the injury report easier, right? Yeah. Because I think that like now, whereas last year at this time, these guys might sit. I think that they're more likely to play, and I think it makes it easier because, especially with you guys, like after lock, having to navigate after lock. When you're getting reports after lock, so much easier to have all the information before lock, and you can really construct your lineup like you like to. Jonathan Nelson in the chat, and he's got a question for you, Tyler. Scotty Barnes over 26.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It's been hitting. He wants to go back. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't hate that prop here. He could rack up the rebounds. He should get us to 15 to 20 points. So at that point, you only need 7 rebounds or assists. Should be good for about 5 rebounds in this matchup against a small front court. So yeah, I like that play.
All right. Anything more on this one, JSU, before we move on?
No.
All right. Let's go to a game that I can't wait to talk to you guys about. Even looking at the schedule on Monday, I want to talk to you guys about this game. It's one of the 2 hottest teams in the league. It's the Memphis Grizzlies and the Boston Celtics. But now there's a new wrinkle here with this line move, and it's not based on information. This is a market move. From everything that I've seen, this is a market move. This game was Memphis -3, -3.5 when it opened. It's now Memphis +2.5, and Memphis hasn't had anyone ruled out that I can see, right, that would really move this, right? Dylan Brooks has been out forever. Yves Pons has been out forever. Don't tell me John Conchar moves the line. And we know that Jaylen Brown's out for Boston here. What are your thoughts on this game, man? I already liked Memphis at the old number. I love them at the new number. 2 of the hottest teams in the league. Of course, JSU, you're up there in Boston. I'd also love to know how the fans are feeling about this team's resurgence, because we were ready to blow it up in December, and now they look like, hey, talk about those teams that nobody wants to play. I don't know if I want to meet them in the first round, but we'll start with you, Tyler. Go ahead, break down the game, and then we'll get JSU's full Boston breakdown.
Yeah, you would have think the line would have moved the other direction with the star player going on Boston side.
Yeah.
But I think it has something to do with Memphis hasn't won a game in Boston in their last 7 trips to Boston. Like, they just get blown out when they go up there.
Does it matter that Mike Conley and Marc Gasol lost to the Celtics, though?
It doesn't, but when people see that, they instantly flock to, they can't win in that city. Let's just bet them again.
And the fact that John Morant's played like an MVP.
That too. And for instance, last night, OKC had beat Denver in their last 3 or 4 matchups. Got a lot of people flocking to that money line, and look what happened. So it's like certain teams have certain teams' number here. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to stay away from the side. You're putting 2 of the better defensive teams on the floor. I'm not overthinking it. Give me the under.
All right. Yeah, that was quick. Precise. Love it, Tyler. And then it gives you plenty of time, JSU, because like I said, I'm really curious to know, you being in Massachusetts, how people are really feeling about this team, because I know there was a lot of frustration earlier. Got to be some feelings of excitement, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think going into the year too, people had big expectations. And when you're in this type of, atmosphere in the city where you got the Patriots who have been winning for, ever, it feels like to me anyways, because, I'm 30. So like, they've been winning for a while, in my opinion. You got the Bruins who, been pretty good. The Celtics, obviously, and the Red Sox. It's like, yeah, I think people expect winners, you know what I mean? And I think people saw the team that they had and said, they're close, and then the start of the year happened and they were like, no, they're not close. They're way off. But again, new coach, right? These guys, maybe it took a little more time for them to gel, to get into the style of basketball that Ime Udoka, or whatever his name is, wants to play. And I think it looks like they're clicking, especially defensively, which has been the biggest thing, right? They've just clamped down, even on Trey. So I was watching the game, and I remember in the first half after the game, they're talking like the sideline reporter, and he's just like, what did the coach have to say? And he's like, we just have to do a much better job at not going like being lazy, going through screens or going under screens. Like, we have to actually not let Trey come open through a screen and get a wide open jump shot. Like, he just said the obvious thing, which was we have to stop being lazy and get through these screens and stay in front of him. You know what I mean? And just keep a face, in front of him. You can't come through and give him wide open looks. And that's what he was getting in the beginning of the game. And the second half, he wasn't getting that. And so you could see the difference. And I'm sure he laid into them because they were getting handled in the first half of that game. And then they, all of a sudden, after that, and I know Trey was a little nicked up, whatever, but I'm just saying, after that, they come back and they end up winning the game. And it's like, okay, right? That's what we've been seeing recently from Boston. So it's good to see. And, for this game specifically, sucks because Memphis is one of my favorite teams. And I think that they win this game. I know it's in Boston, but I'm going to take the Memphis side here. I do think that they end up winning the game. I know it's Tatum's birthday, so he's going to obviously drop 40 because it's his birthday. Just bet that Tatum over. What's Tatum to score 40 tonight, Tyler? Plus 250, plus 300. Drop it. Drop it in the chat.
Let's see.
While he looks that up, I got a great question for you.
He's actually not even listed for the 40-plus tab.
What do you got, 35-plus?
Yeah, what is he, 35?
1 second. I could probably get his alt number. Plus 600.
Hey.
Plus 600. There
those
you go.
Those are fun. Those are some fun bets to make, right? You don't worry about the EV there. You just throw it out there and enjoy the game. So let's say, you're just starting a franchise for 1 year, right? Because I don't want to get age into it, right? You're starting a franchise just to play for one season. Would you rather have Jason Tatum or Jimmy Butler? Go ahead, JSU.
For one season?
For one, just because for obviously you take Tatum because he's 25 and not 31, right?
So wait, so this is a tough question. Are you posing it as Jason Tatum on?
I'm basically saying, do you think Jason Tatum is better than Jimmy Butler right now?
Yeah. Skill wise, Jason Tatum is way better than Jimmy.
Does he help your team win more though? Who would you rather build around just for one season?
That's a tougher question. It's because the Heat right now, how they're constructed, I think Jimmy Butler's perfect on that Heat team. You know what I mean? I think he's perfect. I do think he would be perfect on the Celtics though too. I think he'd be a good Celtic too. But
don't you think Tatum would look so good in that Heat system where he could just work ISO?
I do. I definitely do because of the way they use Jimmy. So I do think in the end, my rule of if you have the ultimate best player, you win. So in this scenario, I would probably take Tatum because ultimately, skill-wise, I don't even think it's close. I think Tatum is already light years in skill ahead of Jimmy Butler. Yeah. Jimmy Butler is just tougher, stronger, mentally, physically, and he let's be honest, he tries more on defense. You want to knack Jason Tatum? You want to knack Jason Tatum for something? He doesn't always try on defense, and I'm sure that's something that drives the coach insane. I bet you would drive Brad Stevens insane because you look at the guy and you say he should be an all-team defender. He should be able to be one of the better defenders in the league, and he just doesn't show it all the time. I think he actually is too. Is the crazy part. I do think he can clamp down.
He's really good when he tries. No, he definitely zones out sometimes.
When you're blessed with all that, you remember last year against KD? All that offensive skill, he's like, screw defense. He's like, go score. I'll go back down the other end and score right back.
But I will say, in a playoff series, if he's going up against KD, Jimmy, I bet you he locks in a lot better. Like if I go back and look at playoff series, I bet you he's going harder on defense. And he's that type of player. Regular season, no. Yeah. Unless it's like the last 2 minutes of a game and it's close.
I do like the call on taking his overs tonight, though. Even though it's not his birthday, we see what happens when one of these two guys go out. The other one just explodes for stretches of games. Yeah. He might hang 35 here, even if they lose the game, even 40. So,
but if you did like the Celtics, there's one of your booster bets. If you like the Celtics to win here, you could do the Tatum prop over 30 or 35. Yeah, you plus got the win.
30 plus and wins 2-1. And if you went up to 35 and win, it's plus 370.
Tyler, 1 year to build around. Who'd you rather build around, Butler or Tatum?
Probably Tatum. Because
I got a better question.
It's two
How
different
about
completely.
Ja or Tatum? Who would you rather build around, Ja or Tatum?
Ja, because he has the ball. I can put the ball in his hands and let him control everything more.
Ja's like a top 5 player in the league right now.
See, I don't think before this season anyone would have said Ja.
No, they wouldn't have. But, I mean, he also got career highs in his last 2 games. So we're talking about recency bias, right? But he's just coming off a 52-point performance.
I would have said Ja. I want to be clear about that. I definitely would have said Ja before this season.
Okay, and I don't know if I would have. So
I definitely would have.
Jimmy Works pick in the chat.
What?
What's up?
What are we saying?
He said Zion.
He took Zion.
Zion.
Yeah. Well, if we were going to hometown buffet, I'll take Zion too.
It is funny. Me and my friends all fought about the Jaws. Like I got 2 buddies who I always watch the draft with every year. Yeah. We argue about who's going to be better and all that stuff. And he actually keeps track. He has like a note sheet for like literally the last 20 years. We've been doing it. We've been friends since we were like children, like 4 or 5 years old. We've been friends. And like me, him, and his younger brother, we literally have this sheet and we've been keeping track of we pick like 4 guys every year. And there's like one in the top 10. We do it like one in the top 10, one in the top 11 to 20, 21 to 30. And then like the second round, you get 2 picks just in the second round. And we do it every year. And my big thing was I thought both of them thought Zion over Ja. They didn't like Ja as much. I love Ja coming in. I'm a huge Ja homer, so that's kind of why I've been partial to him this whole time. But the dude is explosive. Like the dude, he wows like everyone. You want to talk about something? Yeah. I wish he was in the dunk contest. He was the best dunker
of the whole weekend. He had the best dunk of the whole weekend. Exactly.
In spread, it looked like he didn't even try when he did that. When he caught that 360 dunk, didn't it just look effortless?
He's so good. Yeah.
Like he was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna spin in the air and catch the ball and dunk it." Like it wasn't even like putting effort into anything. It was ridiculous.
All right, let's get back to helping the people. Otter wants to know what you think about Derrick White tonight. JSU, he's at 6.3K.
Yeah, Derrick White is going to be like one of those guys who, if Tyler Hero becomes chalk, if all those guys are out, Derrick White might be a nice little pivot, right in that same range for DFS. So I wouldn't throw out Derrick White. I also wouldn't throw out Marcus Smart because they're the same price, and Marcus Smart's going to play more minutes over Derrick White. Like, I think they both get good amount of minutes, but like if they have to choose one to finish with, they will choose Smart over Derrick White. So just keep that in mind.
The other thing is Celtics are pretty good on offense. If I'm going to have to live with something, I'm the coach of Memphis, aren't I pretty content to let Smart chuck threes?
Yes.
And not get beat by like Tatum or
I think
Williams
you're pretty content to let Derrick White and Smart shoot threes because Derrick White, since he's been a Celtic, has not shot the three ball very well. That's again though, it's only it's a very small sample.
Games, new arena.
But I was hearing it like last game. Oh, he's struggling a little bit. That's like, dude, he's played like 5 games with the Celtics. Like, give him a little bit to like get his feet wet with the team. Like, come on, it's
not everyone's James Harden.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the other reason I'm tilted. Okay, the Sacramento Kings plus 6.5. They're in San Antonio taking on the Spurs minus 6.5. Maybe the highest total, definitely highest total of the week, 244 here. Just for some inside information, the Kings had a lot of problems last night. I mean, it's not inside. I mean, it's on Twitter, but I don't know if a lot of people follow Kings beat writers. They didn't fly last night. They had issues, so they're actually flying today. Take that handicap how you will. Will they be tired and make less points, or will their defense get even worse? But boy, I'll tell you what, that was disappointing for us last night in Sacramento, Tyler and JSU, because it was essentially a quasi playoff game because losing that game last night. Now, I mean, technically we can still do it, but we got to win like 17 in a row, and New Orleans has to go like 6-12 for us to catch them or whatever, right? So essentially, the most important game we've had here in the last 2 or 3 years, right, as Kings fans, and they lose by 30. Not even competitive at all. Didn't seem to be showing fight on defense. What Brandon Ingram go? 15 of 19. I mean, I understand we don't have that good defensive
Right,
forward,
he made some tough damn shots. You got to give it to Ingram a little bit. He made some.
No, I do. Yeah, I guess so. Obviously, this is the most results oriented I've probably been on the show all year. But right, but I mean, we were so excited. My buddy came over. He's a big Kings fan. We lifted before the game, had a good meal. We were excited because like this is the closest we get to like a playoff game or a game.
What happened in that game though, Spread? Like you watch that first half and you're like, okay, this is a competitive game. Pretty close. I was sitting there going, man, I think the Kings, they got a shot in this game. Yeah. I mean, the Pelicans were really good in the first half. They were scoring a lot, and it seemed like the Kings kind of held their own and repelled. You know what I mean? Like they stayed in the fight, and I'm like, okay, like this second half they could have a chance, and then they just came out like just completely flat. Like
they got crushed in that third quarter, and then they couldn't come back.
Yeah.
So that was another disappointing thing too. Guy Josh Dubois, and he usually tweets out stats that are completely critical of the Raiders, but he decided to pile on today and tweeted out the stat. Kings have been in Sacramento for 37 years. When Rick Adelman was the coach, the Kings had a winning record 8 out of the 8 years. When Rick Adelman is not the coach, we are 0 for 29 and having a winning record. We are so desperate for a winning basketball team here, but it's not going to happen. Like I said, tough travel issues. This is another team that's kind of competing for the play-in spot, right? And if the Kings have won last night, then it would mean more for both teams. But if the Spurs, and who knows if they're really making a push here, but they're 2 games behind the Pelicans. The Pelicans just get the win over the Kings. The Spurs would like to do that as well. I just detailed that they did have travel issues. Could be potential fatigue here. We laid 6 with the Pelicans last night. I just wanted to see a good performance, a good game, and I didn't mind losing that bet. But I'm going to do the same thing again tonight. I don't see any reason not to bet on the Spurs. And, if I'm feeling that way, I think those guys got to be feeling that way in the locker room. I think when they traded for Sabonis, there was this idea that, hey, we can make a push for the play-in. Even if we lose that, right, it feels like we're going in the right way, and some positivity around the team. Almost like, boy, you got to really take your spirit out of you. Tyler, what do you think about the Spurs and the Kings?
Winners are already in the chat, Spread. Plus 500, DeJounte Murray, triple-double and win.
The people coming through again.
He's coming off a 21-3-8 game. He shot 8 for 20 against Memphis. Like, this is the perfect spot for him to bounce back. The Kings stink on the road. They've won 2 games out of their last 21 on the road. The only worry for the triple-double is they blow him out and he only plays 3 quarters worth of play.
Good point.
But for the most part, I'm going to be on that triple-double and win, and probably slightly on the double-double and win as like a backup.
Yeah. JSU, what are your thoughts here?
I love that look. I mean, that we talked about it last week. DeJounte Murray is just a beast. And then, like I said, our boy Jakob Poeltl, minus 115 for a double-double. I think he's also in play too. You could add that one in there. But, yeah, I mean, I do think the Spurs win this game. The Kings, they're a tough team to back. I do want to, because here's the thing. The Spurs are really big. This total is 242 right now?
244 on bookmaker.
244. I'm telling you. So the Kings are bad. We know that. Like we're not, I'm not saying that. But the San Antonio Spurs are pretty bad on defense, which is uncommon for some of these pop teams, where like it also doesn't even look like sometimes they try. It's like wild to me.
I just don't know if he has anyone to pull him for. Right? Like when they make a mistake, it's like, you can't call a timeout.
Bob, he would just pull people. He wouldn't even give a shit. He'd just start pulling people. I think he's just
better for what he is, right? We got to let these guys learn through their mistakes, and he's however many years old. I don't think he wants to yell at these guys anymore.
For the Kings, I think it's good because I do think that gives the Kings an outside shot to kind of hang around in this game and just stay in the fight. I don't know. I'm torn on this game. I think that the Spurs end up winning the game for sure. I don't think I'm going to bet the spread, though. If I was to bet it, I think I would bet it the way Tyler's talking. Like, you take a double-double or a triple-double. You take the win for the Spurs, and you just I
think the total double-double is where I would go personally. I think it's safer.
Yeah. But it's definitely – well, DeJounte double-double has to be the safest one.
Right. But compared to that, or the DeJounte triple-double. Two more little, narratives around this game, and then we'll move on. This is good from Ruben Corzo. I think the Spurs overall want to really win tonight to give Pop the win to tie the all-time win record as a coach, especially at home. I agree. The fact that they are at home is also news as well, right? Because they're back from that rodeo trip. This is their first home game since February 4th. Usually we fade the first game back on a road trip. And boy, this is the ultimate first game back on the road trip spot. Any thoughts on that, Tyler, for the Pop narrative and then the first game home?
As for the first game home, I'll talk about it again in another matchup we have coming up. Mm-hmm. It affects it more when the team on the other side's actually playing well.
Okay, good point.
Like the Kings on the road just stink. I'm not that afraid of them.
Yeah, Jake's throwing that out there too. JC, what do you think about those two narratives?
Stink, so I don't think.
Yeah, like the Spurs. The Spurs aren't somebody to like brag about either, but it's like when you go on the road in your last 21 games,
drop like 153 points on them. Let's be honest right now. Like, come on. There was no Bradley Beal.
You travel on the road for 21 games, and the only two teams you can beat are Washington and OKC. I gotta take the Spurs tonight.
And barely beat them too. Like Washington, they barely beat them. They were losing for a lot of that game.
Yep.
So.
Final question on this one, JSU. Is DeJounte Murray the player that we thought that De'Aaron Fox was going to become here in Sacramento? I mean, did he just fulfill everything that we thought we were going to get from Fox? Because he's just been amazing.
I didn't think. Interesting. So I didn't see De'Aaron Fox as the player that DeJounte.
Yeah, not even close.
Okay.
I don't even see them as.
Well, Fox was drafted way higher. Where was this?
I don't even see them as comparable, like player to player. I don't see him very comparable.
Aspect of Fox's game. Fox is more of a point guard, point leader, general of the floor.
No, he is a scoring point guard.
Who wants to score?
DeJounte Murray is a point guard who wants to play make, who turned himself into a scorer. There's a difference, though. His game didn't start off predicated on scoring specifically. His game predicated off of getting the rebound, pushing in transition, either scoring or getting people involved in transition, or setting up the half court for others to score. It's just been this year, really, and maybe last year a little bit, where he's developed where he is trying to score and be aggressive offensively for his own game. That wasn't who he was to begin with. De'Aaron Fox, when he came in, that's who I thought he was a scorer who plays the point guard position, but he is a scoring guard. DeJounte wasn't a scoring guard coming in. If everyone remembers, Pop would pull him when he'd pull a shot. Yeah. Sometimes it'd be an open shot too. But it was like, no, you don't do that. You run the offense. You get the ball to, this guy and that guy, like the players ahead of him. Like, you don't pull that shot.
Who would you say would be a good name to plug in that comparison? with DeJounte Murray.
The DeJounte comparison?
That should have been him in the last couple of years. It didn't really turn into him. I think it's the guy that went to the same college as him.
Who?
Markelle Fultz.
Oh, there we go. That's a good one.
Yeah. I still don't even see that, though. The DeJounte's just a freak. Like, Markelle Fultz was never the defender DeJounte was.
No, but
Like,
he
ever.
looked like he was going to be dropping over 20 a night. Like,
No,
mid-range,
I'm not saying that.
get to the cup.
But remember, DeJounte coming in, that was the thing. Like, his defense was elite. Like, the dude was just ripping people. Like, that was one of the things he was so good at, because he's taller, he's leaner, but he's got those lanky arms, long leg. Like, he just, like, he could kind of, he had long enough arms where he could kind of tip the ball and come around the other side and get it. Like, in the NBA, you know how hard it is to steal a pass where you actually can tip the ball on one side to the other side and be able to be long enough to go around the player to get the ball on the other side. Like, I don't think that doesn't happen in the NBA very often. Why? Because all these guys are freaks and they're all big and they're all really good at dribbling, and you don't see people rip people like that. So when DeJounte came in and started doing it, everyone was like, holy shit, like that doesn't happen very often. And he was doing it nightly. And you're like, how does this even happen? But it was just because he was so long and he read it really well. But I don't know, like I don't see many guys like that, to be honest, where they weren't scorers and they made themselves into the scorer that he was. There's not many like that, I will say.
I guess I'm just jealous, right? Because I just see that team, and I would much rather build around DeJounte than De'Aaron Fox, right? It's just like I know we're building around Fox, but I just keep seeing his ceiling here, and I don't see where, you know, he's really contributing to a top level team. But we'll get into that later. Enough time about my actual terrible favorite team. Let's talk about the good team in Northern California, the Golden State Warriors, right? You know, that we can have pride in that. +2 against the Dallas Mavericks, -2, total 220. Tyler, on Tuesday night, we were opposite. You got the dub over me because I wanted to take the Warriors on the road against the Timberwolves, right? And my breakdown was that, hey, you know, the Warriors blew this game to the team they played tonight, Dallas. They're up by 21. They end up losing by 6. They're really going to focus tonight. You know, this is a great situation. They're not going to overlook the Timberwolves. And the Timberwolves flat out outplayed them. You had it right. Towns destroyed them down low. Now they go back. They play the team that they lost to. I believe that was Sunday night. I always get my days mixed up, but I remember the games and who they played and what happened to them. It was Sunday night. You know, now they rematch Thursday in Dallas. Dallas is laying a couple points here. Boy, you know, we talked about the Warriors right at the beginning of the year, and we said, hey, we're going to fade them without Draymond. Then they won those games. But as you so eloquently put in your breakdown, you know, when we were talking about that Timberwolves game, a lot of those wins weren't over good teams. They're over the Blazers, the Thunder, the Kings, the Spurs, right? Teams that they should beat. Now they're going up against another good team. And, hey, I didn't think this Jason Kidd thing was going to be a good coaching deal, but you have to admit that he's got the team buying in on the defensive end. If you can get stops, and then you got Luka in the half court on the other end, I mean, that is a recipe for victory. I'm going away from my Warriors love. I like the Mavericks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm on the same side as you here. Give me the Mavs. I can't back this Warriors team until they show me some life. I mean, they've just been struggling along. It seems like they're just kind of comfortable in this 2 to 3 seed range. Mm-hmm. And they're just going to kind of let Draymond get 100% and come back for the playoffs. Now, Luka triple-doubled on them in that game a few days ago spread. Mm-hmm. This is another spot. He kind of played down to his usual performances against the Lakers the day after his birthday. Now he's in another good, perfect spot to bounce back and have another big game. Him triple-double and win this game is plus 700.
I love all these.
Shot on that.
Yeah, I love all these because you just get one and you're up for the night. JSU, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Luka, he had the double-double. He didn't have the triple-double against this team, right? Last game.
No, I think he had the triple-double. Unless he came up an assist,
no,
I'll double check.
He didn't. He had 2 assists. I know for a fact because I played him in DFS.
He's like, I know that stat line.
I also remember he had 9 turnovers. And I know exactly where almost every single one of those turnovers came from. Luka played, in my opinion, the worst game in maybe all year. And he scored 34 and 11 at the end of the game. and had 2 assists and 2 steals, 2 blocks. Like, the dude still crushed, but had a terrible game. And one of the reasons was Golden State's one of those teams where defensively, some teams will like kind of, you know, when it's regular season, they won't really, you know, scheme for guys like Luka as much. They'll kind of, you know, they'll say like, you know, maybe you're going to hedge out hard and you force them to pass, but like they're not like doubling dudes or having 3. Like when Luka would drive left, they had like 3 dudes like near him. Like it was ridiculous. And Luka, because he was getting so much attention, always thought the lob for whatever reason was going to be there. And he was just lobbing the ball up and throwing it away because they were collapsing on the paint and taking the lob away because they knew if we make Luka into a passer, which I know you guys are going to say, well, he's a great passer. Why would they want to do that? Well, they want to keep him from scoring in the paint, but they also don't want to give him an easy bucket, right? They don't want to give the lob, which is an easy bucket for a guy like Luka because he's a really good passer. So you want to make him a long passer, right? Pass the ball to then hockey assist pass again for an open shot, right? Where Luka is not the one creating the wide open shot, someone else is, and Luka's not the one getting the shot, right? So Golden State did a really good job of doing that, and they took that lob away, and Luka just kept fucking throwing it and was driving me insane because I'm like, it's not there. Someone call a timeout and tell him to stop lobbing the ball because it's not there. The dude has turned it over 6 times trying to lob the ball up, and it's friggin' not there. But he just thought because there was 2 guys in front of him, or like one on the side and one in front of him, he just assumed that defender rolled over. This guy has to be open. He probably couldn't see the other guy collapsing from the corner, and they just hit it away every time. It just didn't work. The end story is, though, Spencer Dinwiddie leads them back because they were down like 16-20 that entire game, has a really good fourth quarter, and Luka comes in, finishes off the game, and they win that game. If you watch that game, though, you would have thought Golden State was going to win the game the entire game because the entire
I did too.
Fourth quarter, Golden State was in control, and there was no like, here comes. Nope, they didn't come back. They didn't get the score within single digits until the fourth quarter with like 6.5 minutes left or 7 minutes left, something like that, through the whole game. So that will tell you, like, they won that game, but they weren't winning that game. Like, they came back, stormed back at the end. They got like 6 straight stops in a row, by the way, in the fourth quarter. Like, Golden State just went completely flat. Wiggins wasn't there anymore. So this game is going to be different. You got Clay, who looks like he should play tonight. I also don't think Luka's going to play as bad. So now it's like, okay, where do I go with this? I think in the end, I do think that Luka probably wins this game at home, but I'm not betting this game for the standpoint that I could see Golden State controlling it like they did last time because they are good defensively against guys like Luka. And if they even can take away that lob and force him in to, forcing that long pass into another pass, it could be a longer day for Luka. So I struggle with this game. Like, I want to say the Mavs because they've been the better team, but Golden State in theory should win this game with Clay back. I don't think they're in the right set without Draymond. We've talked about this for a few weeks now. Like, without Draymond, it's tough to play Golden State. I can't believe you were on them over Minnesota, by the way. Did you not listen to my Minnesota plays Golden State hard every single match? They try so hard against Golden
I just
State.
thought off the bounce back spot that I was going to get the best effort out of Golden State, and obviously I was wrong because that game was
goes hard against them for whatever reason. Cat loves that spot. It's probably because Wiggy's on the other side and he wants to put it on his boy.
Well, and also Golden State doesn't have the best centers either, especially without Draymond out there, right? He ate Kevin Looney for lunch. I mean,
that was the other thing. I was
Yeah.
like, dude only plays like 27 minutes, and he's not going to be able to guard Cat. So it's just a horrible spot all around. They had Juan Toscano-Anderson guarding him at one point in the fourth. I'm like, oh God, like that's where it is for Golden State nowadays. No one quits faster than Steve Kerr. I will say that. That dude quits right when the game gets a little tough. He quits right away. He'll just pull his guys. He don't give a shit.
That's from smoking too much weed with Phil Jackson. All right, guys, we're going to be quick on this last one because I think the Hardwood Show is already starting. Thank you guys for sticking with us so long. Remember, the show is brought to you by Run Pure Sports. Head on over, use the promo code GetBets to become a member. Like the video, man. We've been trying to get some good content for you here for the last hour and 15 minutes. Just appreciate the thumbs up. The Los Angeles Lakers, they're at home. It's head to LA. No, I mean, they're both in their own locker rooms tonight, but they play the Clippers -2.5. JSU, we had this game on last time. I was wrong. I'm ready to flip sides. I'll be curious to see if you flip back. Just a couple numbers there, right? It's 105, 102 last Friday night. You said that's what's going to happen. You were correct. And since then, are the numbers now. Clippers won 4 in a row, 6 of their last 7. Lakers have lost 6 of their last 7, so they're completely opposite in that regard. And I looked it up. Since 2012, the Clippers are 30-7 against the Lakers. So, hey, Tyler, I was making fun of you for that old one, right? But now I'm pulling it out when it suits my needs. I'm going to jump with JSU's side here on the Clippers. Let's see if he sticks with us, but we'll start with you, Tyler.
Yeah, give me the Clippers here. I mean, Lakers are just reeling. LeBron's questionable. Probably plays.
He might actually sit tonight, too.
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, eventually he's going to sit eventually. Like, you could just see it in his body language.
He won't sit tonight. This game's still in LA. He's not going to sit tonight. I don't think. He'll sit for one of these next away games, I bet. He'll find a bad team, and he'll sit in one of these away games. This game's in LA. I think he plays here.
Yeah, definitely could see that, but I got to take the Clippers here. I mean, better coach. The Lakers are just in shambles. A Zubac double-double and wins plus 370. That's what I'm going to take my shot on in this game.
Okay. JSU, quick breakdown of the Lakers and the Clippers. Has it changed since they played last Friday?
Yeah, I mean, this can be nice and quick because I told you guys. I said it. You guys were on the other side.
Go for the victory lap.
I told you about this Clippers team. I was stunned, the line with the Lakers, and now it's flipped, right, spread? The line's like – and I don't get it still. 2.5, like, yeah, give me the Clippers. This Lakers team is not good, and the Clippers are better, and they're better coached. Their team is just playing better. Like, as a unit, they're playing better. I know that the better player is on the other side, but the next 4 or 5 better players
are on the Clippers.
The better player has checked out. Let me tell you,
on one end of the floor, he's still pretty good on offense.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
He's checked out on defense, though.
LeBron can score 30 and 10 against any team in the NBA. I don't even care. He can do that, checked out. That's how good LeBron is. I'm not talking about his great. I'm just saying the dude already knows they're not going anywhere in the playoffs. They're not going to win the chip. He's mentally, it's definitely a different type of checked out. I don't mean, he's non-existent in the game. He's still going to be existent in the game. You're still going to see him, but it's just different. Like, the mindset's definitely got to be different for him. And Clippers are just a better team. Just take the better team here. It's only 2.5. That's a nice little spread. They probably win by like 10. Like, let's be honest here. And I'm definitely betting that.
All right, Tyler, people do want to hit over to Hardwood Live, so let's just give them what they want here. And then make sure you switch over to Hardwood Live on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. Best bet today, Tyler, side total or prop?
Give me the under in that Memphis game, under 224. I don't see them two defensive juggernauts getting up over that number.
All right, JSU, what do you got today? Best bet, side total or prop?
Yeah, so Bulls -1.5 and the Vucevic double-double. I really like that call right there. So Bulls win and Vucevic double-double. And then I'll just say I like Memphis to cover here. I do think that the Clippers win at -2.5. Those are going to be definitely my bets. And then the Spurs, if you want like a little money teaser here on the DeJounte triple-double and the Spurs to win the game, I do like that as well. So those are the bets I'm going to be looking at tonight.
All right, yeah, and it comes down to me between the Clippers and the Kings. I'm either going to take my favorite team or I'm going to fade my least favorite team. But I'll go ahead with fading my favorite team. Like I said, I think that was a really tough loss for the Kings. I think it's hard for them to emotionally get up. And then reading about their travel issues, it was 8 or 9 when I saw it, and they still hadn't left for San Antonio today. We know how much even me, I get thrown off when I'm not in my routine. I think that's really tough for them to overcome, especially after essentially being eliminated last night. I think they do lose by double digits. That's my best bet. Spurs -6.5. Tyler, did you have a home run parlay?
Yeah, we're only going to go with 2 legs in this one because I think that's all we need. DeJounte Murray triple-double in the Spurs win. Luka triple-double in Dallas wins. That gets you 46-1.
I love it. JSU, any messages for the people before they switch over to the Hardwood Live show?
Nah, if you're not a member, make sure to get over Rumpier Sports, become a member. You can sign up, get in the Discord. We're all in there chatting up sports, and obviously got all the shows, Hardwood Live, that just started a few minutes ago. So you can get over there, check them boys out, and then final countdown tonight, 6 o'clock. We'll take you all the way up through lock and give you the winners. So check us out over there. PGA content too. We got a ton of PGA content. We got round 2 showdown content for tonight. It's going to be on the Mayo Media Network side, collab with them. So Tambo, Hoop, and Snyder will be bringing you the winners over there. So if you want to play some showdown, some round 2 showdown, get over. We're going to have content, video content for round 2, round 3, and then obviously round 4 for premium members only for round 4. But round 2 and 3 will be free to everyone over on the Mayo Media Network. So get over there, check us out. I think me and Big T will be on tomorrow with Snyder as well. So we'll be talking some golf winners tomorrow and tonight.
All right, great stuff. And JSU, I want to thank you for coming on every Thursday, and especially for today, helping me talk through my tilt as we continue to bring winners for the people. So thank you, everybody, for watching us. Thumbs up on the video.